Better late than never. We are live, and Emily, we actually didn't miss anything. They haven't drawn a single pill yet.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
And I'm not sure, well, although this guy paused, so that's no good. There we go. That's Aiden Butler, by the way. I heard you say, who is that?
I was going to guess, so I'm
Yeah.
glad you said that because we're live now.
We're live. He's not so live. I'm having some real trouble with you and I look crisp, but he's really
Well,
fidgety.
naturally.
Yeah. Fresh. Well, hopefully that'll get better. So what do you think? Post draw, were you able to sleep last night?
It's exciting, all right. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I don't look at much, pretty much like before the race. I know everybody has already kind of got their pick. But yeah, we'll see who shows up and how it draws and how they look on the circles and squares.
Now and shame on me for not knowing this because I've been familiar with optics for a long time. Is it post agnostic?
Yeah.
So whether they're wearing 20 or 1 in the Derby, it would have been the same.
What do you mean?
Like if they were going to be a small circle in quad 1, that wouldn't have changed based
Correct.
on post.
Yes, yeah, correct. So when we drew up like the circles and squares before the plot before the draw, there was minimal change to where the horses were outside of the horses that scratched, and then some changes from that.
Right.
Yeah, this stream is kind of bust.
Yeah.
Can you pick up another one, or is this it?
This is the only place they have it, which surprised me. I would have thought at least YouTube, but I'm pretty sure, I hate to say this too, but I'm pretty sure it's my issue because I had a really hard time connecting.
Oh.
So, but it's always nice to talk to you.
This is my first time on Horse Racing Nation. This is my debut.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, maybe way back.
That's why I thought, yeah.
Not since you've been aboard.
Okay. Well, I have a lot of questions too.
Well, there's not much going on the stream, so feel free to fill the content.
Well, I mean, like, I've been impressed with the Hawthorne love. So, have you enjoyed it as much as it seems you are?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I think the racing's good. I like the community. I like being out at the track. I like working with the team that wants to do things a little bit different and try some new things and see how things work. And that's ideal environment for me. So yeah, I like it, and there's so much kind of going forward that we're hoping to do, and I love that as well.
And you're doing the some OTB stuff as well?
Yeah, we're trying to, I think, kind of shift more towards doing type of events, whether it's like pool parties, or I did a live Kentucky Derby seminar that was really cool. It was really fun. It was really more interactive than people just kind of sitting there and listening to what I had to say. So that type of stuff, we're going to try to do more in that area, at least during the live season, and then maybe move towards like some social type events. But
all right, I'm going to try to reload Yield Facebook.
Okay. Oh, Facebook? Okay.
That's where they're streaming. And don't be looking at my messages.
Looking at you.
All right, got some Black Eyed Susan posts. No, it's a little better.
I can't see your screen at all for what it's worth.
Oh yeah, I haven't shared it yet.
Okay.
With the right words, it feels. Imagine.
That looks a little bit better.
Magic.
A little better.
That is.
Imagine.
Magic. That is Mage, right? It means wizard, magic. It was a magical performance. I had the pleasure
Now,
of
were you
speaking with your
surprised at how
father
many people
immediately
kept
after the
calling
race.
him
He was
Mage?
consumed by emotion and pride. What was
I mean, I called him 8, so who am I to say?
What?
that moment
But
like
yeah,
for
no,
you
it was
watching
one
Mage pass the wire
I
first?
wasn't sure. I was kind of going off like, okay, if I was saying the word magic, like where would I stop myself? Mage?
Yeah, I guess my years of role playing games, I was used to seeing it.
Oh, okay. It's a word? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
they
yeah,
would
it's like
say
a
coach.
wizard in Dungeons and Dragons, stuff like that.
Ah. Well, now I'm the one that has questions. Oh, that's froze again.
Horses between races. But every
Well, he's talking about the space between races,
Okay.
not to be confused with Dave Matthews Band, The Space Between.
Yeah, that was like that's some controversy. Yeah, I mean,
I know you.
I'm surprised
Zoe,
there's
where
not
did
more horses, but at the same time, just kind of looking at the spacing of their races coming in, some of those horses that I think would be fits in this race, like a Sun Thunder, for example. But when you look at Sun Thunder's plan, they kind of had to call the audible running in the bluegrass and things like that, where it kind of messed things up running back on short rest. But that's a horse like why wouldn't you try that horse there? But as far as two fills, I mean, I think it's the right decision to not run because that horse ran hard for the entire race. He was between horses early. He was moving into the fast early pace. He's part of the contentious pace. He had to dig in to hold for second. I mean, that's the type of effort that running that horse back on 2 weeks rest wouldn't be right. I mean, Mage had how are we saying it?
Mage,
Mage.
like
I
Cage.
can't call him 8 yet. Mage, like he didn't have nearly as taxing of a trip as Two Fills, so it makes sense. And just some of the other horses. I mean, you figure like the Pletcher horses aren't typically going to run in the Preakness and whatnot. I don't know who's
Right.
left after that.
Well, and I think it was Chuck. Someone made the point, maybe Craig, when they drew the Derby and there were the AEs, all four were going to go to the Preakness if they didn't get in the Derby. So when they all got in, that definitely took four starters away from this race.
Yeah, but I mean, again, like those horses, like a lot of them didn't do much running to be like, wow, they ran really hard. Why can't they come back in 2 weeks?
Right.
So
Well, yeah. Cyclone Mischief especially.
yeah. Same thing with the gray horse, the Moquette horse.
King, was he a king?
King Russell, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well, this is a lot of drama for us because we're like having to refresh it. Ooh, we got a board though.
Okay.
Soon to know who number 8 is. I'm just going to keep clicking live because at least that updates it a little bit.
Okay.
So that's something. What'd you think of my post 2 stat?
I didn't see it.
0 for 23.
Oh. I'm gonna have to dig in see who those horses were.
What's more important, post stat or pedigree?
I mean, I would say post. Oh, but post stat.
Right. Because post is about the calculus of who's around you and all the other dynamics.
Post comes into pace and trip and things
Right.
like that. But post stat is like, I don't know. I mean, I would say in that case, I would say post stat.
All right. I'll take it. Oh,
Oh,
wow. It's like a telethon when they update the total donated.
Yeah. This is going to go quick. They're drawing 3 at a time.
Yeah. Well,
So, a couple of these horses that are kind of new. Chase the Chaos coming out of. I'll have to go back and kind of see where that horse is. But Coffee with Chris, he's coming out of the Tessio Stakes and was up close to the pace that day, pushing the pace. Looks like a turf horse to me. I don't know what the pedigree is, but my eyes are telling me that horse looks more on the turfy side. So being in the 4 post, a horse that has some early speed. I'm sure they're probably going to, have to use it in this case.
they're not even showing the pills coming out like they do at Derby.
Are they not, or are we just missing it?
No, yeah, I don't. It's possible they're flashing to
Wait.
it, but
Is it PER form or PRE form?
I thought it was per form,
Okay.
but I've been wrong before.
Well, that horse, talking about a trip in the Tessio, did you watch that race?
I did not.
Well, there's a little homework assignment for everybody that's listening here. You go back and watch that race because Form should have lost that race 5 different times. The horse stumbles at the start. He's stuck behind horses from off the pace, goes to move. He checks behind horses again. He looks like he's absolutely stuck in the lane. Like there's no way this horse is going to win. Finds another re-rally and gets up. It's one to go back and watch. Because that was a pretty exceptional performance for a horse that seems like they're on the improve, but definitely a race to go back and watch because it's a lot better than what it looks like on paper.
And they are. They're making a big bet, 150,000 supplemental.
Yeah.
So, I'm really curious on your take of National Treasure because it just seems like this horse gets picked by the cognoscenti every time and disappoints. But at the same time, I understand why people think he fits.
I'm gonna have to pull it up. Give me just like a second, just so I have like a national kind of. Well, I know he's a horse that going into the Derby was working with the other Baffert Yakteen horse, Reincarnate, and was beating the brakes off of him. So he's much better than that horse, just as far as like those morning works. Let's see, has not raced since April 4th. Let's get this pulled up. Wait, April 4th? April 8th. April 8th.
Yeah, I thought he looked good going into the Breeders' Cup. I actually preferred him to Cave Rock in that race. He's always fine. Like it's never a total crap, but just seems.
No,
like
he pretty much runs the
win?
same. He runs the same race every time, like numbers and as far as like the visuals and the same type of trip where he's always right there, but he's always right. He's always short of running like a winning type race. But speed figure wise, there's no regression. He just runs, he's running optics figures are in the high 90s. Who else?
And what's the scale?
Well, we don't have it yet because they just drew.
No, you said high 90s. Like, what did Mage get in the Derby?
I don't know if that's necessarily the race I'm gonna pick, but for his speed figures, but I know he ran like his debut was a triple digit.
Oh, okay.
And I know he got a triple digit in there, so let me see, 415. I had to pull these up like horse by horse, which is kind of annoying.
I bet we'll have PPs tonight, though.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but right now, okay, who am I looking at? Okay, that was what, 5-6?
Yep. Who is the pace in here?
It's a good question. Well, the 4 definitely. Coffee with Chris. First Mission, does that horse have speed?
I don't think of him as like wanting the front, but he's certainly forward.
Let me see. What that one ran? 4:15, race 9. Chase the Chaos is off the pace. National Treasure's more of a stalker. I mean, Mage could show speed if he breaks
Sure.
clean. It's a little bit of a stab to say that's the case. But yeah, no, you're right. First Mission is kind of more of a more stalker type. Yeah, 5, 6.
So I wonder if Coffee with Chris can hang around for third.
Possible. I mean, he didn't have much finish in that perform race.
Did or did not?
No,
No.
it's probably going to be a circle. 5, 6, Churchill. Do you know the date of that race offhand?
Which one?
The Tessio, it was like 4 something.
Would have been 422,
422?
2 weeks before the Derby. Unless it was the same day as the Lexington, then 415.
Yeah, I think it's 4:15.
Okay.
Yeah, 4:15. Mage's optics figure from the Kentucky Derby was a 105. He ran a 101 on debut, then ran a 91 in the Fountain of Youth, a 99 in the Florida Derby, and then that new top 105 in the Kentucky Derby. Coffee with Chris is pretty much peaked. He's run 91s in his 3 most recent starts. You know who could be on the lead, honestly, is Perform. Because he did stumble at the start last out. That's why he was a little bit off the pace, but he has shown some speed in the past. He doesn't really have like a confirmed. Does seem like he's a little bit better from off the pace, but he also, that could just be the fact of a horse that's on the improve.
It definitely, I mean, to me, feels like this is a case of more likely hoping a long shot can stick around if you want to spice things up versus Chase the Chaos passing 7 horses late.
Yeah.
5 to be in the try.
Yeah. Trying to find. So what do you think? You think Mage is legit?
Yeah, I mean, not to make an excuse. I mean, I didn't use the horse at all. I just took a stand against in the Derby. Not that that's inspired at 15-1, but for better or worse, I was, the no 2-year-old, and the figures I looked at was like 3 races. They were all pretty fast, so the talent wasn't in question, but I definitely thought too much. Now the question becomes, if I thought that on Derby Day at 15-1, I kind of have to think that 2 weeks later at 8-5, don't I?
I mean, that's kind of where I'm thinking is it doesn't seem like there's going to be any value in playing him in this race. I mean, he again, like maybe there's some regression. I mean, if that pace isn't what it is, and credit to the horse, to be completely fair, he ran a good race, but if that pace wasn't what it was, he's probably not the winner. Like there's
Right.
there's a lot of factors that went into that race. It was pretty much run like a pretty honest horse race, which is rare for the Derby, right?
Yeah.
Where there's a lot of horses in the field that, you sit there and afterwards and you're like, oh, they didn't get their trip, or they didn't get the right ride, or they didn't get that. It's like pretty much everybody got the trip they were supposed to get, and it just played out the way a normal horse race, like the 5th race on a Wednesday,
Yeah. No, I mean, on the front end, they went for it with verifying, and obviously it was too fast. He got cooked, but they took their chance. Tapit Trice, no excuse. Just, the issues people thought he would have, not me, because I picked him, but caught up to him there. I guess if there was any disappointment, maybe Angel of Empire, who I didn't love, especially when he ended up being the favorite.
Yeah.
But, I kind of feel like if you think he was the best of that group, he should have won. So yeah, I mean, credit to the top two were the top two, no doubt about it.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I thought
Right.
Two Phil's race was incredible. That
Yeah,
horse.
and I think we're so, over the years, the Derby's been kind of funky, and then, Baffert's domination, for better or worse. He wins the Preakness after he wins the Derby, period, end of story. And I'm not sure Mage, maybe this group he's just that much better than. Certainly from a wagering standpoint, the thought of then in 3 weeks he's going to be odds on if he wins here would certainly be an enticing wagering prospect. But like I said, if I was against him 2 weeks ago at 15-1, playing the whole too much too soon card, I kind of feel like I got to stick with it now that he's the favorite in an 8-horse field.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and the trip for him is gonna be interesting, right? Like how he breaks and gets out of the gate, because he did win on the lead on debut.
Right. No,
So
people keep. I mean, even now after 3 not on the lead, I keep hearing like, well, if he breaks clean, he'll be on the lead or close to it. Which against this group, completely believable.
yeah, but again, but then if they take back, right, and they try to get the same run that they've had in the last 2 races, right, in the Florida Derby and the Kentucky Derby, then it's going to come down to he's going to have to outkick First Mission and National Treasure, because those 2 horses looks like the confirmed pace will be Coffee with Chris, but both those horses like to kind of stalk and pounce, so they're going to have first run. Mage is going to have to outkick them, and if the pace isn't super fast, which if there's only one pace setter who's kind of slow, it's
Right.
probably not.
No,
And
I missed.
even Perform is not a horse that's again, that's a horse. I have no clue what this horse's running style is. I just know this horse is getting better.
Who's on First Mission?
All I can tell you is who
Is it
was
Flo?
on First Mission.
Yeah.
In the past has been Saez mostly.
Okay. Yeah, shame on me for not noticing that. Well, regardless, Johnny V on National Treasure. I mean, if he turns for home in front, I mean, Johnny V is tough to wrangle in. So I could see that being the plan. I mean, basically getting sort of the 2 Phil's trip. You want to hit the quarter pole in front.
Yeah. Who else? Can you pull up that field again one more time if you have it in front?
They ended the stream. Oop.
Oh, okay. Well, that was quick. That was
Yeah, they didn't.
man.
They
The
didn't
Derby
do
was like a
hour
whole
dog and pony show.
production.
I bet.
There was like ska bands and everything, and this one was like in and out. You had like Indiana Jones coming up first, and then that was it.
As soon as Candace drops a graphic, I bet there's something on Twitter though. The omnipresent news source. You looked at Friday at all? Any opportunities?
I did look at Friday, and I'm going to have to look at it at another day, because I looked at it and I was like, these races are very uninspiring. Am I supposed to say that when I'm live on the show?
That's why we bring people like you and Ray on. You'll tell it like it is. I can't say that, but
no, I mean, that's why, it's sometimes it's not like this is the first time that's happened. When I look at a card and I'm like, I just don't feel very like inspired by this card. And then I'll look at it the next day, or, go in a different room or something and look at it again and get a better idea. And I also looked, I didn't have the morning line. So sometimes that I can get some ideas just kind of based on that. But, these races typically from like the Pimlico day, you have like, a group of horses that are coming in from like the quote unquote bigger barns that just look heads and tails above, most in the field, even though they're 12 horse fields, right?
Right.
It's like you have horses that are running in like the 70s and 80s, regardless of what speed figure, you use. And then, some of the horses that are shipping in from like Oaklawn or Naira or Gulfstream that are running like, 90s. And it's like, there's 4 horses that really stand out in here. which one, you know?
And they get bet. It's
And
not
they
like
get bet, right?
yeah.
There's no, you know, and I think part of that is too is, you know, with the Kentucky Derby and even the undercard races, it's like the connections are all pointing to that day, right? With like their A team, and you start to see from, you know, one of the reasons I had like a good day on a lot of the undercard races because just following those circuits, I could kind of see some horses that, all right, this horse has been kind of, they're one race away, and that one race away is going to happen on Derby Day, and that's when they're gonna peak, right? And then they did. Things worked out.
Yeah.
But like
That's a great point.
this is like there's no real connections that are like, let's point to the undercard on Black Eyed Susan Day, you know? Right?
Not anymore.
Well, at least like when I'm looking at it, I don't really, I'm not really feeling that. It's kind of like, well, we've got this horse. They, you know, they weren't good enough
Right.
to run on that day. They're probably not good enough to run on the Belmont day. Where do we go in between? You know,
Or you get, you know, in the kit like the Black Eyed Susan, where it's Feza shipping in for Baffert, and she's going to be 4 to 5.
yeah, yeah,
So they pointed for it, but everyone knows that.
right. Yeah, and I mean that's, you know, we're going to find out how good she is because she's been getting, you know, somewhat favorable trips in smaller compact fields. But yeah, looks kind of like the standout in that race.
What,
Okay.
how do you balance in her case, and you know, especially now she's still restricted with the 3-year-old fillies, and same would go for juveniles when they're still against 2-year-olds. How do you balance trying to figure out, okay, is this horse just so much better than his or her peers that it's just they're going to get a good trip and that's not a penalty versus what are you watching for? And you're like, okay, that was as good as it could have been. And if anything else had happened, they wouldn't have won. Like, are there cues you're looking for with the jockey to see if they're asking? Is it wide versus inside? Because I struggle with that. I mean, everyone knows what a big figure looks like. And sometimes they are just that fast, but other times, as you noted, it is trip aided.
Yeah. Yeah, I think actually that that part of trip handicapping is really tricky because it's getting, you know, when a horse has trouble, like I told everybody go watch, you know, go watch the Tessio Stakes and how this horse wins. It's obvious to anybody watching that race. Even as somebody who doesn't know horse racing, if you're like, just watch the 7, you know, they're going to be like, whoa, how did they win? Like, that's crazy, right? But like when a horse wins fairly easy, it's tricky to then go, okay, well, what does that mean going forward, right? Was that horse better of this group? Were they peaked in their form cycle? Did they get the right trip? Did everybody else in this field kind of mess up? You know, and I think that is hard and it is more situational. I mean, we really got into that with the Derby, even though a horse that didn't run but Practical Move was kind of that horse, right? Who has had those inflated speed figures and had those favorable trips. And then it was like coming into the Derby, you're like, well, this horse makes sense as an individual, but he's never faced anything like he's going to face today, right?
Yeah, that's a great example.
Yeah. So again, then it kind of comes down to your point. Then it's like, well, you know, it wasn't a horse that I like necessarily, but if all of a sudden he's 25 to 1, you're like, let's put Practical Move in the mix, you know?
Right.
It's like, you know, I don't really like him, but yeah, he could be logical. It's just, you know, the number at that point. He wasn't going to be, but yeah. All right. Who was the other horse I wanted to look up? Chase the Chaos.
And if you can multitask, tell us what's on tap for you for Preakness weekend. I know you got Hawthorne Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah. Hawthorne Thursday. You know, I'm not sure what I'm going to do on Friday or Saturday. I don't have anything lined up. But that could change. Maybe I'll end up doing a seminar or something. I don't know. I don't have anything planned. And then we race again on Sunday.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Now, how are you there every day?
Every race day.
They race. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not today,
Yeah.
unless you live there, based on your background. But
I mean,
what's the commute?
What's that?
How long does it take you?
Oh, to get there?
Yeah.
It's about 30 minutes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not bad by Chicago standards.
No. Which means it's 5 miles away.
Right. So what'd you find on Chase the Chaos?
Okay, so Chase the Chaos is pretty slow. Is definitely the slowest horse in this field by far. I was giving Coffee with Chris a hard time pairing up 91s. Chase the Chaos has never cracked 90. He ran his top figure of the 88 in the El Camino, but that was a flow-aided trip with a front runner spaced out the field, kind of everything going right, and ran an 88. So with everything going his way in terms of that pace, still an 88, so pretty slow.
Well,
And that was when he had very fast paces to close into, very fast early and middle.
it is free for him to enter and start, so they can stick around for fifth. It's a win, but
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I
outsider.
I do. It's another type of horse. Like, where else are they going to go?
Right.
So it makes sense. Is that everybody? Let's see. National
Blazing
Treasure.
Sevens was not addressed.
Oh, okay. What was
Which,
his most recent start?
He was in the Bluegrass.
Okay. Another bluegrasser. Oh, wait, I don't have that one pulled up.
Did you play Indiana today?
I did not play it. I looked at it and I was like, I don't want to. Even with the carryover, I just couldn't really put it together. Did you?
Yeah.
I saw you played.
Yeah. I also did not put it together,
Yeah.
but I played. So
What was
Yeah.
the date of the bluegrass?
4-8.
All right. Oh, Red Route 1. Okay, thank you. We'll get there. All right, Blazing Sevens. So a horse that definitely has to get faster, but has every license to get faster because he was improving last year. Last year as a 2-year-old, he was improving with every single race. And his Breeders' Cup Juvenile was fine. Ran a 91. Then he came back in the Fountain of Youth, and I can't remember if I was watching I think I was watching his works that going into that race, but I was like, this horse he's not ready. He's going to need a race. And he didn't run well. You could make kind of a subtle issue that day. And then Gulfstream Park, some horses like it, some horses don't. I just don't really take too much from that race, but he did improve with the wide trip, ran 91 in the Bluegrass. So he returned to his top figure from the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, but again, is going to have to step up. The added ground should not be any issue for this horse, though. And kind of from a physical standpoint.
I wish. We'll see where it shakes out with how much money Mage and I could see National Treasure and First Mission both taking dough. I wish he was a little higher than 6-1. I don't disagree with that line. I could see him being that, but I'm not as enticed at that price for sure. And it also kind of makes him impossible. Like if you're a Mage lover and want to get, figure out how to use them vertically, like Blazing Sevens isn't exciting from that standpoint either. So,
do you have access to? Can you pull something up on YouTube?
yeah.
Can you pull up that Tessio?
2 minutes here. Is it Laurel, right?
It's a good one because there's 2 horses that come out of it, so you can get kind of an eye test. So you're looking at the 1 and the 7 for what it's worth. The 1 is Coffee with Chris. The 7 is Perform.
So this is Perform here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, coffee with. Wow, it was only 3-1 in there.
Yeah.
So see, he's last right now. Performance.
Correct. But he stumbled at the start. It was kind of choppy at that time. But for what it's worth, that's why he's that far back. But wait for it.
And Jock definitely took some chances staying inside that whole time.
Oh, he's going to take some more.
Wow, 112-4 and that far back. Oh wow.
Yeah, how does this horse win from here? Once again, you're going to dive inside? That's a kiss of death most trips.
Wow. As advertised. Dang.
Improving horse.
And what was his figure?
His figure was 94.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's.
I mean, given most of the horses, Mage having kind of those two top figures, the 105 and the 101. But like National Treasure is our first mission is like 97 and 99. National Treasure is in the upper 90s. So
Yeah.
5 points with a cleaner trip, maybe.
Right.
I don't know. For an improving horse.
Yeah, and I mean Shug isn't. I mean, not that anyone would want to be in the Preakness, but to put up 150,000, I definitely see as a vote of confidence.
Yeah. Yeah, and
All right.
Shug's not run in this race and on this day in the past, like with all the Baffert stuff that happened a few years ago. Remember he scratched all of his horses? He's like, I'm not messing around with
Right.
that. Red Route 1.
Man, it just seems like he always has too much to do.
Yeah.
So, and they're just, I mean, everything we've talked about, there's no case to be made for a situation where this collapses to that point.
I mean, the only thing you could say really is Rosario does some weird things with horses. And maybe he rides, because there was a time when Red Route 1 was not a deep closer. You know?
That's true. And now, I mean, he's all Asmussen has, so maybe more aggressive because of that.
Yeah. And those have also been in the Oaklawn races have also been very fast paces. So if you are a little bit more aggressive, you have some class if they're going average. But again, he's still probably, he's not a horse you're going to expect. Even with Rosario and all the intention, he's not going to be able to get this horse to be on the lead.
Right. No.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my mom has a lasagna waiting for me.
Oh, okay. In the basement?
No, that's ITP. Yeah. No, I got to go home for it. But little DeRosa family cooking.
Okay.
But thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't believe it's the first. Let's not make it the last.
Well, that's on you.
Especially when the Hawthorne stakes start ripping.
Yeah. Hawthorne Derby, June 24th, I believe.
Is that on turf?
Yes.
I like it.
Yep.
You're all on turf now, right?
We were supposed to start turf on Sunday, but we got some rain, so this Thursday will be the first turf of the season.
All right.
Yeah.
And low takeout on turf too, right?
Takeout's gonna stay the same, yeah.
Love
Maybe
it.
we'll find another pool to lower the takeout. Who knows? Fingers
Yeah.
crossed, but we'll see.
Yeah, they're out there. All right. Well, thank you, Emily.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll see you on the Twitters and elsewhere.
All right,
But,
sounds good. Enjoy Mom's
certainly see you on
lasagna.
Thursday for Hawthorne.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.